According to information from our reliable source, the US President Donald Trump has contacted the Finnish government regarding Simon Ekpa, a pro-Biafra activist who has been charged of inciting violence in Nigeria by the Nigerian government and kept under detention for over 3 months by the Finnish government. However, some critics have advised Simon Ekpa to avoid conflicts with Donald Trump, emphasizing Trump's global influence and America's ability to take action against individuals worldwide. They argue that the US has unmatched military capabilities and can intervene anywhere, even in Nigeria, if necessary. Nigeria's military is portrayed as weak and politicized compared to its past strength under military rule. They praise Donald Trump's economic policies, claiming he revived American manufacturing and attracted massive investments from Asia. They suggest that Nigerian President Bola Tinubu did not attend Donald Trump's inauguration due to alleged legal concerns that could lead to protests if he stepped onto US soil. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia is claimed to have shifted its financial investments away from Nigeria towards the US, citing historical alliances and economic interests. They assert that America has long controlled Saudi Arabia economically and militarily, citing past Gulf War interventions. Saudi Arabia allegedly distances itself from northern Nigerian elites due to their extremist religious practices, favoring investments elsewhere. I was having one of those quiet mornings when I flipped through the news and something truly unexpected caught my eye. There, on the screen, was a breaking report that immediately made my heart skip a beat. The President of the United States of America, Donald Trump, had reached out directly to the government of Finland regarding a man named Simon Ekpa. Now, if you have ever followed international news, you know that such a move is not something that happens every day. The idea that a head of state like United States President Donald Trump would personally intervene in a matter involving an activist from Nigeria left me both curious and a little uneasy. I decided to sit down with a cup of warm coffee and really take in what this was all about. The report explained that Simon Ekpa is a pro-Biafra activist, a person who has been deeply involved in the long-standing struggles of the Biafra people in southeastern Nigeria. Over time, his activism took a controversial turn. The Nigerian government charged him with inciting violence, a serious allegation that not only put his personal freedom at risk, but also ignited passionate debates both in Nigeria and internationally. Things took an even more dramatic twist when the government of Finland detained Simon Ekpa for over 3 months. It was hard to imagine that an issue that started in Nigeria could end up involving the Finnish government and the highest office in the United States. As I continued reading, I came across a rather intense discussion among critics and commentators who warned Simon Ekpa against provoking a confrontation with United States President Donald Trump. They stressed that the president's influence extends far beyond the borders of the United States and that his power, especially in military terms, is almost unparalleled. According to these voices, if Simon Ekpa continued on his controversial path, he might face consequences that could reverberate well beyond Nigeria. The United States, after all, has an extensive military presence and an ability to operate globally, something that can have serious implications for anyone daring to challenge its authority. I remember thinking about the sheer magnitude of power that the United States wields. Here was a country that not only had a booming economy, but also boasted a military force capable of projecting strength anywhere in the world. The critics made it clear that the United States' influence was such that even a distant land like Nigeria was not immune to its reach. They emphasized that if necessary, United States President Donald Trump could take action anywhere, even if it meant entering Nigerian territory to enforce American interests. It was a stark reminder of the modern reality of international politics, where might often translates into the power to intervene unilaterally. The report also delved into some interesting comparisons between the current state of Nigeria's military and what it once was. There was a sentiment, shared by many, that Nigeria's armed forces have become weakened and overly politicized. In the past, when Nigeria was under military rule with figures such as General Sani Abacha and General Ibrahim Babangida, the military was a symbol of national strength and pride. Back then, the Nigerian military was not only a formidable force in terms of numbers and equipment, but also commanded a level of respect that has, sadly, faded over time. Critics argue that today the military is more interested in political maneuvering and personal gain than in maintaining discipline and national security. This perceived decline is used as a comparison to underscore how a nation with vast human and natural resources like Nigeria could, in contrast, be easily overshadowed by the unmatched might of the United States. On top of these military comparisons, the economic side of things was just as fascinating. Many commentators praise the economic policies implemented by United States President Donald Trump, particularly noting how he managed to revive American manufacturing industries. They explained that under his leadership, the American economy experienced a surge in growth and innovation, attracting significant investments from several Asian countries. The revival of American manufacturing was not just a domestic success story. It became a model that highlighted the United States' ability to innovate and attract global capital. This economic resurgence, they claimed, was a direct contrast to the economic struggles faced by Nigeria, where internal mismanagement and political infighting have often hampered progress. I also learned that the Nigerian president, Bola Tinubu, did not attend the inauguration ceremony of United States President Donald Trump. The reasons behind this absence were equally intriguing. Reports suggested that legal concerns might have prevented the president of Nigeria from setting foot on American soil, as his presence could have sparked protests or legal complications. The very idea that a foreign leader could face such issues in the United States struck me as both unusual and revealing of the complexities involved in international diplomacy. It wasn't merely a matter of protocol. It was a vivid example of how legal and political constraints can affect even the highest levels of international relations. Adding to the intricacies of the story was the role of Saudi Arabia. Over the years, Saudi Arabia has maintained a long-standing economic and strategic alliance with the United States, a relationship that has its roots in shared interests and historical events such as the Gulf War. Recently, however, there have been reports suggesting that Saudi Arabia is shifting its financial investments away from Nigeria and redirecting them toward the United States. This decision, as I gathered, is influenced by several factors. For one, the United States is seen as a more stable and lucrative investment partner, particularly given its robust economic policies and the promise of long-term security. Moreover, it appears that Saudi Arabia is growing increasingly wary of certain northern Nigerian elites, whom it views as engaging in extremist religious practices. This ideological divergence has, according to some sources, led Saudi Arabia to distance itself from Nigerian investments, favoring instead opportunities in regions where there is a stronger cultural and economic alignment with its own values. In the midst of this swirling complexity, I found myself drawn into a broader narrative that went far beyond the simple fact of an American president contacting a foreign government. It was a story about power, influence, and the ever-changing dynamics of global politics. The idea was that if someone like Simon Ekpa continued to push against the enormous power of the United States, he could very well find himself on the wrong side of a formidable force. The commentary painted a vivid picture, a scenario where the United States, with all its technological prowess and military might, could reach across the oceans and intervene directly in a situation far removed from American soil. It was an astonishing reminder of just how global and interconnected the modern world has become. As I mulled over these developments, I found myself reflecting on the nature of power in our contemporary era. The contrast between the United States and Nigeria was particularly striking. On one hand, there is a nation that has managed to harness its economic potential and military might to become a superpower, a nation that can, if it so wishes, intervene in international affairs with almost impunity. On the other hand, Nigeria, despite being rich in resources and home to millions of people, seems to be struggling with internal challenges that diminish its influence on the global stage. The narrative of a once formidable military force that has become weakened and mired in political complications is not just a story about defense and security. It is also a tale of missed opportunities and unfulfilled potential. I found it important to explore the historical context of Nigeria's military reputation. In earlier decades, Nigeria's armed forces were not only a symbol of national pride, but also an important instrument of the country's political stability. Under military leaders like General Sani Abacha and General Ibrahim Babangida, the Nigerian military had a reputation for discipline and strategic acumen. These leaders, despite their controversial legacies, were seen as figures who could command respect on the battlefield and maintain a sense of order during turbulent times. However, as time passed, the military began to lose its luster. Political appointments and internal rivalries took precedence over professional military training and discipline, leading to a situation where the military's effectiveness was increasingly questioned. Today, many critics argue that the Nigerian military is too focused on internal politics and lacks the operational capability it once possessed. This perceived decline in military strength has only added to the sense of vulnerability that surrounds Nigeria, especially when contrasted with the seemingly unassailable power of nations like the United States. On the economic front, the story of United States President Donald Trump's policies offered a fascinating counterpoint. Under his leadership, there was a concerted effort to revive American manufacturing, a sector that had been in decline for years. This revival was not merely a matter of boosting domestic production. It also had the effect of attracting massive investments from countries in Asia, including nations that had once looked upon the United States as a market for their goods. The influx of capital was seen as a testament to the strength of American economic policies and as a signal to the world that the United States was ready to reclaim its position as an economic powerhouse. The narrative here was that strong economic policies, combined with a willingness to project military strength when necessary, created a potent mix that could reshape international dynamics. For many in Nigeria, this was a sobering lesson. Despite its vast potential, Nigeria's economic and military structures were seen as lagging behind, unable to fully harness the opportunities presented by the globalized world. As I thought more about these economic comparisons, I could not help but be drawn to the intriguing role of Saudi Arabia in this unfolding drama. Saudi Arabia has long been known as a major player in the global oil market, and its relationship with the United States has been complex and multifaceted. The historical ties between Saudi Arabia and the United States are well documented, particularly in the context of the Gulf War, when the two nations found themselves united against a common threat. That period marked a significant moment in international relations, with the United States emerging as a protector of key interests in the Middle East, and Saudi Arabia benefiting from the economic stability that such an alliance provided. In recent times, however, there have been reports that Saudi Arabia is reconsidering its investment strategies. Instead of channeling billions into Nigeria, as it might have done in the past, Saudi Arabia appears to be directing its financial resources toward the United States, a move that many see as a reflection of changing geopolitical priorities. This shift is not solely about money, it is also about cultural and ideological alignment. Some sources suggest that Saudi Arabia is distancing itself from certain northern Nigerian elites because of what is perceived as their extremist approach to religion. The idea is that Saudi Arabia, with its own distinct interpretation of religious practices, finds it increasingly difficult to justify investments in areas where there is a significant divergence in cultural values. In effect, the economic ties that once bound Nigeria and Saudi Arabia seem to be loosening, as Saudi Arabia opts for partners whose values and interests align more closely with its own. The more I read and reflected on these developments, the more I realized that this situation is emblematic of the broader changes in international politics. We are witnessing a time when traditional power structures are being questioned and new alliances are emerging that do not necessarily follow the old rules. The intervention, or the threat of intervention, by United States President Donald Trump in a matter involving a pro-Biafra activist like Simon Ekpa is just one example of how global power is being exercised in unexpected ways. It is a reminder that in today's world, the actions of a single individual or government can have ramifications that extend far beyond their own borders. Whether it is the economic clout of the United States, the shifting investment strategies of Saudi Arabia, or the internal challenges faced by Nigeria, each of these elements is interconnected in a complex web that defines our current era. I found myself wondering what the future might hold for someone like Simon Ekpa. Here was an individual who had dedicated himself to a cause that resonated deeply with many people, yet his methods had drawn the ire of powerful governments. The warnings he received, from critics who stressed that any further confrontation with United States President Donald Trump could be met with overwhelming force, highlight the precarious position he now occupies. It is a situation where personal beliefs and actions are not just a matter of individual conscience. They have become entangled with international power plays that involve some of the most influential figures and institutions in the world. For Simon Ekpa, the choice is a difficult one. Either continue on a path that could lead to severe consequences, or step back and avoid provoking a response from a nation as formidable as the United States. It is a classic case of an individual caught in the crossfire of larger geopolitical currents that are as old as they are modern. In the midst of all this, I began to reflect on my own understanding of international relations. It is easy to think of these events in abstract terms, a powerful nation acting on the global stage, shifting economic alliances, and so on. But at their core, these events are deeply human. They involve real people with real dreams, fears, and aspirations. When I consider the situation involving United States President Donald Trump, the Finnish government, and Simon Ekpa, I see a tapestry of individual choices and institutional actions that have converged in a way that is both fascinating and a little bit frightening. It is a reminder that behind every headline, every policy decision, and every diplomatic maneuver, there are stories of real lives being affected in profound ways.
On their own opinion and their own reactions. Basamaka, Donald Trump summons Finland government over Mazi Simon Ekpa that America will not allow or will not let Biafra meet with Russia like Burkina Faso. So ya bi feka ji makia webia ni bakuko kono ge ifa ji makia webi ngesi na drop ra iphone cheno din kono. All right, over to you.
I mean, if I were President Tinubu, I would try to steer clear of antagonizing him.
By all means, don't let Donald Trump catch you or see you or even hear your voice. First and foremost, let's have your reaction on that.
You see, Baba Akiyemi is not a child. He is not. Akiyemi is of age, Akiyemi or Adeyemi is of age. I mean, the first man that actually, sent that as a message across to him. He was telling him to avoid having any controversial issue with Donald Trump, because he knows, this elderly man knows the kind of thing the American current president can do. American current president is the #1 citizen of the world now, and America, as you see, can go to operation, both military and otherwise, anywhere in the world. They have what is called OGE. Yes, OGE is something global office. Office of Global Access. Thank you. America can use it, operate anywhere in the world. They can kidnap, abduct, if you like. Be you #1 person at Asu Rock, America can come and pick you. So when he was having media chat, I believe actually that those journalists or pressmen threw it across to him, never to have issue with Donald Trump of United States. And I can see that most of his advisors, aides, and friends, even kinsmen, have begun to actually let him know that he should be very, very sober this time around. It's no longer a time you should go places and start talking anyhow. After he called, Obi is a boy, that was for you and Obi in Nigeria. You can never say Donald Trump is a talkative. No, you will take it serious. Donald Trump will kill into that and come to Nigeria and they pick him. I'm saying it in front of camera. Nigeria is not up to California. Nigeria is not up to Honolulu. Nigeria is not up to even what is this American country that is sharing border with Alaska? With oh my God, Texas? No, they have a Celtic future. Their faces, they look like Japanese, but they're still in American country. Okay. Yes, there are. Oh my God! Let me just go ahead. So America has vast land, vast human resources, vast natural resources. When you talk about brain, they are ahead of anybody in the world. So Nigeria should not just go do maga, gragra for Trump, using their #1 citizen, Tinubu. They will just come here with cage and package him and go back to United States. So I believe that is a good advice. So the president of the package of Nigeria is nothing. See, look at our military. Our military are tired of beer. They drink beer, they have swollen stomach. Do you think those ones could be equal with United States? Free, couple lands. I mean, couple lands. Lance is lower than officer cadet at Nigerian Defense Academy, Kaduna. Lance, corporal lance. Oga, America has what it takes to fight war more than what Israel did in the Middle East. Israel fought 8 countries. America can fight. See, let me tell you, their military capacity is far higher than Nigeria military capacity. In Africa here, we are not #1, we are not #2, we are not #3. #1 in Africa is Egypt, followed by Southern Africa. Then you have Algeria, you have Tunisia. Nigeria has not come up to be #7 in Africa. Mr. Rafi, Nigeria is too bad. Your president is forgetting about the African insurance. African insurance? What do you mean by African insurance? You know what I mean. African insurance. Yes. Listen good. When Nigerian military had the capacity was when Abacha was the military head of state, Babangida was the military head of state, Obasanjo was the military head of state, Gowon was the military head of state. That is when you can count on our military. But now, Nigerian military has been politicized, monetized to the last degree. Which degree? Money, material things have taken over Nigerian army. They are not what they were before in the past. Before, the United States of America, they are afraid of us. The kind of military might we had in the past has no equals in Africa. But today we are seeing ordinary Niger decimating our military at the border, where we are bordering Niger in Katsina State. Our military could not cross over. Niger military were threatening ours, even mocking us the way we are handling Boko Haram issue. Ordinary Chad, their military neutralized the Boko Haram to the level that they brought them to their knees. But look at Nigeria today. Nigerian soldier, you can only see them in the garage, motor parks, where they are fighting for what? Tolls from Aburu. Okay? Those people could not even be what they were. When we have Ekpa commanders under Joshua Dogonyaru, 1990s, we were the one that went to Liberia and stopped Samuel Doe and brought him down to his knees. We were the one, Ekpa. But today, we have seen Economic Community of West Africa under the regime of, I don't know the man, his name, Nigerian head of state, and this young man, Traore Ibrahim, trying to tell us that his military capacity is above Ekpa, and he can, because the young man is very, very serious, developing both north and southern Burkina Faso, throwing the entire country called Burkina Faso into agricultural mechanization and irrigation. Today, Burkina Faso is one of the best countries in Africa.
Okay, why is Tinubu's friends advising him to avoid Donald Trump?
Donald Trump is a controversial figure all over the world. You know, he doesn't miss his word. He doesn't hide the truth. He is a man of transparency. During his first coming, we've seen how American economy pick up. He revived, resuscitated the American industries, manufacturing companies in America. They pick up. Today, we've seen how Japanese, the Asian tigers, they race back to America with over $1 trillion just few days into his office. Investors from Asia, they just, you know, raised to United States of America with too much money for investment. Donald Trump has attracted over $1 billion just few days into office. Is it up to 1 week that Donald Trump took over, stepped into office?
Barely 1 week. But what is the offense?
What I'm trying to say is that Tinubu had the issue now in America. You know that I'm going to that angle. He had the issue now. They have the document with them. We don't put allegedly again. Because as I'm talking to you now, you would have asked me the reason why Tinubu did not go to Trump's inauguration.
He
didn't go. He wasn't invited because had he set his foot on American soil, America will break into two. There will be protests across all over United States of America because someone that violated their law has come to teach them how to violate law. So the reason for that is he won't go. If he goes, it will stir up protests across United States of America. If you violate law, the state law, federal law, you will be in exile. You won't come. Because if you go there, you will stir up, your presence will stir up protests, both north and southern United States. So that's why I'm telling you that Donald Trump is having many things down against Tinubu, who is an asset of the CIA and FBI because of what he committed in the past. You know what? When America say they are assets, they have you are their property because they have many allegations hanging on your neck with substantial evidences. See, let me tell you, you shouldn't go there and you shouldn't try to provoke Donald Trump.
Are you also advising him?
I'm advising him not to go now. Will I be happy if they arrest him? I won't be happy. I'm not an enemy of progress. I can't be like all these Nigerian politicians that are causing us this kind of excruciating suffering in Nigeria here. I won't be happy if they hold him. I'm a Christian. So if he goes there, will you be happy that America has held your president? It is bad of us. It is very, very bad.
But on a final note, Saudi Arabia, instead of them bringing $600 billion into Nigeria, most especially the northern Nigeria that has always called themselves as the capital of Islam in Africa, Saudi Arabia took this money to America. America, that is a Christian state. Mr. Raf, why did Saudi Arabia dump the northern Fulani?
Oh, okay, yeah. The story of the diplomatic relationship between Saudi Arabia, I think I can start from the Gulf War. What happened on 22 August 1991 when Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. That was invasion of annexation. Iraqi annexation of Kuwait. That was 1990. August 22. Or August 2. That August 2 or 2. Or that was many years ago. They invaded Kuwait. And do you know what America did? Because they were expanding their tentacles of invasion to annex most of the Gulf, oil-producing Gulf countries, acquire it by force. Then America has seen it that they are one of the best clients or customers that are buying from Saudi Arabia. What America did was that they invaded Saudi Arabia. America used their commando marine, American marine. They invaded Saudi Arabia, seized Saudi Arabia from being infiltrated by the Iraqi, Saddam Hussein. So they seized everywhere in Saudi and make sure that the Gulf War did not at least infiltrate Saudi Arabia. They seized it for a very long time. Before they could leave Saudi Arabia, they invaded Kuwait as well. And invaded which country again? They invaded Iraq. And that was at the eve of 1991. The mother of all battle started between United States of America led allied country with Kuwait, with Saddam Hussein, Iraq, which did not last long because Hussein so much like boasting. The man was so tyrannical about the war, the Moderable War, according to him. The mother of all war did not last. America decimated Kuwait under how many weeks or days? Decimated Iraq under how many days or weeks? And Iraq fell before USA. And Saudi Arabia did not feel the heat of that war because America occupied Saudi Arabia. So what am I trying to say? They enjoy long-term economic paths. America has been buying the Saudi crude, which is #1 in the world, for years. Even now, America is in control of Saudi Arabia, not Arab world, not even UAE, not even their so-called almighty Iran. America is in control of Saudi Arabia right from day one. So are you saying that if you are taking that money to invest, it is not a new thing? They are going to invest in America because America has been their economic ally for many years, even till now. America protects Saudi Arabia.
So are you saying the northern Nigeria has no benefit?
No, they are making mouse. Saudi Arabia doesn't like the way Fulani oligarchy or hegemony are handling the issue of Islam. They are just being religious for nothing. Bloody religiosity. The way they are practicing Islam is too bloody. Saudi Arabia doesn't practice it that way. Fulani has added their own. And what they added there is an ideology sold to them by their ancestor. Oga Patapata, Ottoman down, Fodio, Emodra. So that's why you can see Saudi turning their back on them. The Fulani oligarchy, hegemony in the north, are just mad, religiously mad people. They are being mad for nothing. Saudi Arabia did not recognize them. I'm telling you the truth. They just go, they are spending money, they are going to Hajj. Does Saudi man know you? Saudi man doesn't know them. Arabians are looking beyond Fulani. The people that are recognizing is people from UAE, India, Pakistan, Sultanate of Brunei. These are the people they recognize. Yes, that is true. They don't know them. Black Fulani man that is aggrieved and the bloody. Saudi Arabia doesn't recognize them. This is a big shame on their side. Let them bring that billion to naught now. They are just making noise for nothing. Do you know what? Iran, the evil of Axis, that is axis of evil, has infiltrated the north, the so-called Sokoto, Kaduna, Kano, and so on and so forth, introducing to them the ideology of what? Shiites. Yes. Sunni. Okay, are they Sunni?
Yeah.
Okay. And these Sunni, they are very bloody. I don't understand. But the Hausa people are Shiites because Shiites are not bloody. Sunni has infiltrated the north. So Saudi are not. Saudi don't support bloody religion. Saudi are very good people. I'm telling you the truth. So that's why they are wasting their time. They are just chatting Medina, Medina, Mecca, Mecca for nothing. They don't benefit anything from Saudi Arabia. Saudi has taken their money to invest in a land that is more fertile than North. Northern land has been what? Corrupt, polluted with blood of the innocent.
Thank you very much for that brilliant submission.
This is the end of our news update. Please click the icon on the top right corner of your screen to watch my next video. You will enjoy it. I will see you again in my next update. Enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye for now.